Not enough people.
I will call to order the meeting for the City Council for January 2026, and we'll begin with a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Beck, could we please get a roll call?
Mayor Tapia Vega,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnes,
Good evening.
Councilor Bollier,
Here.
Councilor Friedland,
Here.
Councilor Gallegos,
Good evening.
Councilor Gianola,
Here.
and Councilor Jensen.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We will begin tonight with public input. For those of you who want to speak, please fill out one of the speaker request forms there in the back through the glass door, and they look something like this for everyone who comes up and speak. Please just state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes to speak. You're also available to call in. We will begin tonight with Thomas Glenn.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks again for having this meeting. I'm at 745 South Burmont Drive. I've been here a number of times regarding the RMMA airport noise, and my discussion tonight is to thank all of you. Thank you for the filing that you did, submitted to the FAA. Greatly appreciated, and thank you so much. It's a valuable effort towards preserving kind of our airspace, if you will, in a sense, over Lafayette for the future going forward. Hopefully we get some positive feedback and reaction to adjust the flight paths that RMMA is established with the FAA. So I'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership, and much appreciated.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Ron Spalding.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Ron Spalding, 1326 El Dorado Way, Lafayette, Colorado. I'm speaking tonight because soon you'll be looking at agenda item 5G resolution concerning the INEX development. I just wanted to say that when I first was made aware of INEX before the Planning Commission several months ago, I didn't know what it was. So, but I've driven by there 1,000 times or more since I lived here. Just saw this one building on the front of the road. And then, I'm always interested in things and looked it up. My God, lo and behold, this is one of the premier research companies in the country, maybe the world. If you look up its website, its products, high-performance process filtration and treatment equipment for the world's most hazardous chemicals and contaminants. A lot more than that when you go on the website. I don't know how many people are familiar with it or how many in the city of Colorado, but we are blessed with some great companies in Lafayette, and this is truly one of them. And anybody listening tonight should Google it up and just check it out. It's just an amazing firm. With that said, I was at the Planning Commission, made a couple positive comments, and the Planning Commission raised us some nice comments. And I wanted to say that, one, I support 100% this development proposal to be approved. I won't go into any detail because the city's staff analysis is just nailed it. All the comments that were made by the Planning Commission and others, when I read the appendix here and the comments, every one of the questions was answered in very good detail. And I'm sure any questions that you raised, will be able to answer in detail. And it just did a right-on job. From a citizen standpoint, I just want to say, driving up the 120th Street corridor, the plan, at least what I saw Planning Commission, the renderings of the architectural proposal is phenomenal, in my humble opinion. It's like a campus-style development, which is just gorgeous, beautiful. So when you're driving up 120th Street, it just complements the work that's been done with the city, with South Boulder Road improvement and the bridge with, Willoughby Corner. When you make that left turn and go up, and you got the Joyner Company, which isn't anybody aware of that, they ought to check that out. That's a premier organization right here locally. So I'm saying from an aesthetic viewpoint, you're coming down South Boulder Road and make that left turn. I can just envision what this is going to look like and just clean it up. I just can't say any more about it. The package speaks for itself. The owner is a local Boulder County gentleman. Lafayette, we're fortunate to have some great companies. We have many of them. Intermountain Health, Medtronics here, and this is one of them. So I just hope you look at it, questions all answered, and it's approved. It's a wonderful proposal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Up next, we will hear from Chelsea Pennington Hahn.
Hello, good evening. My name is Chelsea Pennington Hahn. I am the director of the Lafayette History Museum. We're located at 108 East Simpson Street in Old Town. And I'm here tonight to welcome and say hi to new council members and returning everyone who's back, and also to introduce myself and the museum. The museum is actually celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, so we are very excited to be celebrating having served the Lafayette community for half a century. For anyone who may not know, the museum is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so we are not a city museum or commission, but we do receive city funding, mainly through an excise tax on storage units that goes to support arts and cultural organizations in the city. We also, the city owns the historic house and property that houses the museum. So we work closely with city staff and council to support city goals and to encourage both residents and visitors to Lafayette to better understand and appreciate the history of the city. In recent years, that has included assisting with research on topics such as the town founder, Mary Miller, and the Pottersfield section of the Lafayette Cemetery. Some of our big wins from last year include being able to hire a second staff member to manage our collections. This was in large part thanks to the support of our community members, as we faced some uncertainty in federal funding that we'd hoped to receive last year, and instead we're able to rely on our community. So we're really grateful for that support. We also recently found out that we were awarded a grant from the State Historical Fund, which we're very excited about, and that will go towards planning for future restoration and repairs of the historic house where the museum is located. We also just opened a new exhibit, which you'll hear about in a minute from our board president. So we hope to show you around the museum sometime. Come and visit. We're open Wednesdays through Saturdays, but are always happy to schedule a tour of the museum at a time that works best for you. So thank you so much, and we hope to see you at the museum soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Up next, we will hear from Mike Pasco.
Well, good evening. My name is Mike Pasco, 418 Jackson Street in Coal Creek Village, and I'm the newly elected president of the executive board of Lafayette History Museum. And at the end of last year, the museum opened our newest exhibit, New Views of Lafayette. The exhibit features 2 historical collections. They offer different perspectives of our city, one being how Lafayette has evolved over time and how the buildings have physically changed. All exhibit text is presented in both English and Spanish, and we're really excited to invite everybody to the exhibit's opening. We're going to celebrate that this Saturday, January 24th, be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Guests are welcome to explore our museum, meet the staff and volunteers. Behind the exhibit, participate in a family-friendly time capsule activity, and that's going to celebrate personal Lafayette memories. We hope you'll be able to join us, and we'd be honored to welcome you. Thank you all for your time.
Could you repeat that date just so I can
Yeah.
write it down?
No, I think everybody should hear it again. Get your pencils ready. We're going to call Saturday, January 24th. Clear your schedule from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the museum. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Samantha Brown.
Hello, everyone. I go by Samantha Brown in Public Forum. I would like to continue bringing your attention to frequently experienced unsafe condition on the west side of the Coal Creek Trail in Lafayette due to conflict between pedestrians and bicycles. This time I would like to question the main trail infrastructure and its ability to sustain the increased demand and use. As I learned in the last couple weeks that this stretch of the trail is the oldest built segment of the Coal Creek Trail system and opened to public in 1992. The Coal Creek Trail is 10-foot wide path of the crushed gravel per documents available to public. According to the ruraldesign-guide.com, the project, which is partially supported by Federal Highway Administrations, the 10 feet width of the trail is recommended for most situations and will be adequate for low mix of users. For example, over 75% of one type of users, either bicyclists or pedestrians. On the other hand, the trail with minimum of 12 feet is recommended even for low volume of use, but heavy mix of users, about 50% of bicycles and other users like pedestrians and runners. Typical trail design should be including 2 unobstructed shoulders, either 2 shoulders on each side 2 feet wide, or 1 shoulder of 5 foot wide on one side. So now let's look who is using the Coal Creek Trail. And I was pleasantly surprised that every 5 years, Boulder County conducts regional and neighborhood trail visitor survey study. And it looks at the long-term trend of visitors' demographic preferences, attitude, and behaviors. The latest surveys has been conducted in 2022, and the report has been issued in 2023. The percent of the Coal Creek Trail bike users in 2022 was reported to be 44%, with the other users of 56% of hikers, runners, dog walkers, and people involved in other activities like bird watching and just recreational use. This reported data puts Coal Creek Trail into heavy mix of users category that implies wider trail to accommodate everyone. Currently, the west side of the Coal Creek Trail is mainly appear to be 10-foot wide, with a few narrowings to about 8 feet of usable space due to overgrowing and fallen trees. The trail shoulders are not always available due to grass overgrowth and shrubbery, especially in warm months of the year. And based on above information, the current main trail is most likely not sufficient for ongoing use, and probably good idea to start thinking about revamping and reevaluating the main trail that is going to be 34 years in service. Meanwhile, I would like to ask the council to enable pedestrian and bike separation by permitting pedestrian to use long existing side trails for safety of all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is the last speaker request form I have, but I'll make sure to ask, is there anybody else in the room who would like to speak tonight? Not seeing anyone else, I would turn to our city clerk. No calls. No online calls tonight. Okay, with that, we will close public input. Thank you so much to everyone, and we'll move on to tonight's consent agenda. A few items tonight, including item A, January 6, 2026 City Council meeting minutes. Item B, January 9th, 2026 City Council special meeting minutes. Item C, second reading of ordinance number 1, Series 2026, setting the annual salary of the presiding municipal judge of the Lafayette Municipal Court and repealing all ordinances in conflict. Item D, second reading of ordinance number 2, Series 2026, amending Article 2 of Chapter 115 of the Code of Ordinances regarding the Model Traffic Code. And item E, renewal of pawn shop license, Easy Pawn Colorado Incorporated, DBA Easy Pawn 406 South Public Road. Are there any items council would like to pull?
No.
Not seeing any. I will take a motion.
Move to approve our consent agenda this evening.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, and I believe we will take a roll call vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnes,
Yes.
Councilor Bollier,
Yes.
Councilor Friedland,
Yes.
Councilor Gallegos,
Yes.
Councilor Gianola,
Yes.
Councilor Jensen,
Yes.
Mayor Tapia Vega.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. We will move on to our next order of business, which is proclamations. We have one proclamation tonight, and if it's okay with everyone, I will be reading it in tonight. The proclamation tonight is the Great Kindness Challenge. Whereas the Great Kindness Challenge was created and launched in 2011 by Kids for Peace, a global nonprofit based in Carlsbad, California, and whereas the Great Kindness Challenge was piloted with 3 Carlsbad public schools and has now expanded to all 50 states with over 22 million students participating. And whereas the Great Kindness Challenge is 1 week dedicated to students performing as many kind acts as possible using a provided kindness checklist. And whereas Peak to Peak Charter School proudly demonstrates its commitment to improve school climate and increase student engagement by participating in the Great Kindness Challenge. And whereas Peak to Peak Charter School is honored to unite all students in the spirit of kindness and respect. Now, therefore, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Lafayette, Colorado, do hereby declare January 26th through 30th, 2026 as the Great Kindness Challenge Week, where kindness matters in Lafayette and beyond. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, I'd just like to say, Mayor, that in the light that we just celebrated Martin Luther King Day, I'd just like to say that that's part of what I believe Dr. King was trying to convey, is that kindness is a piece of building community. So I think it's appropriate that we recognize the challenge in conjunction with the effort to build, strengthen community, and use love more than anything else.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion from any other councilors? I don't see anything else. Clerk Beck, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Councilor Bollier,
You're on mute.
Counselor Bollier,
Sorry, it says I'm unmuted, but yes, I'm voting yes.
Counselor Friedland,
Yes.
Counselor Gallegos,
Yes.
Counselor Gianola,
Yes.
Counselor Jensen,
Yes.
Mayor Tapia Vega,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Barnes.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Moving quick tonight. On to regular business. And good to go, sir. Good. Let's go.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Jake Nichols, and I'm one of the planning managers over Development Review, otherwise referred to as Current Planning. We're here this evening to talk about the Ionics site plan and architectural review along with the parking modification. Quick overview of how the presentation will go. I'll give a brief introduction. The applicant and their team is here. They will make a presentation, followed by an overview of the staff analysis for myself, then questions from council, followed by discussion and hopefully a motion. So the Ionics property is at the northeast corner of North 120th and East Wind Drive. It consists of two kind of what I'm referring to as parcels. What first was annexed into the city in 1982, and that's the parcel that has the two existing buildings, kind of the western 2/3 of the property or so. And then the eastern portion was annexed into the city in 2003. The scope of tonight's project really focuses on that western property that has the buildings. However, I wanted to include the 2003 portion of the property because it does factor into the parking modification request. So there are two existing buildings. The eastern building is, I'm forgetting off the top of my head, approximately 42,000 square feet and 31 feet in height. The building on the western side is 12,000 square feet and approximately 18 feet in height. The zoning is industrial or M1. The proposed building is 23,000 square feet, and it also includes a variety of site improvements that really kind of go throughout the site. And then, as stated, they are also requesting a parking reduction from 155 off-street spaces to 120. That's a 22.6% reduction. And then one other thing I would like to point out is in the staff report, there was an error. I mixed up two numbers. So it states the eastern building was approved by the city in 2010. That was actually 2001. Moving on to existing conditions. Again, we see the kind of what I've been referring to as the eastern building and the western building. Some things to note here. We don't have any sidewalk along North 120th. We have kind of a surface parking lot wrapping the building at the northwest site, direct vehicular access off of North 120th Street, and then kind of note all of the mature trees, mainly around the perimeter, but also this kind of stand in the middle here. Then an overview of the site plan. I'm using the landscape plan because I wanted to emphasize the landscaping. It's hard to see here, but we do have a sidewalk along North 120th now, and we also have a bus stop for a future dash route. We also have brought the parking lot interior to the site, thus eliminating the parking around this building and replacing it with landscaping, just making for more interesting street frontage. And then finally, while you can't tell on the plans, this access is now restricted to just emergency vehicles. It will no longer be a public access point. All access will be taken off of East Wind Drive on these two driveways down here on the south side of the property. All right, I also wanted to discuss kind of the process and applications because we have multiple different applications that have different paths to approval, so I thought it'd be worth highlighting those. We have the site plan and architectural review, which I forgot on the previous slide. I was supposed to kind of prime that because we use the term SPAR all the time, and just as a refresher, that is a site plan and architectural review. I use this so often I forget that sometimes not everybody understands what that means. That's your standard architectural plan set that you received in your packet. It's really required with any new construction. Oftentimes for, commercial, industrial, and multifamily projects, it's in a full-blown plan set like the one you received. For smaller projects like a new single-family home, it's just reviewed through the building permit, but that is our most common application type. So this one starts, the SPAR starts at Planning Commission. They reviewed it at their November 12th meeting. They made a unanimous vote, 5-0, recommending council approve the SPAR. And then obviously council's decision-making body, we're here tonight for that decision. The parking modification is different, and it bypasses Planning Commission because it's over a 20% decrease. So then it comes directly to City Council, again, for your decision tonight. And then because they are creating 3 new lots out here, that is a minor subdivision, so that is reviewed administratively by staff. And then once it's in, like the technical review is done and it's in a approvable state, we bring it back to City Council because there are easements that are being dedicated and vacated, and that has to be approved by council. So those are kind of the different application types associated with the project. With that, I will turn it over to the applicant, and I'll be back up for the analysis. Thank you.
I am Doug Pori. I'm the CEO of INX Research Corporation, the company that's going to occupy the new building and is currently a resident of Lafayette on 120th Street and East Wind Drive. Happy to introduce, and I suspect it is in fact an introduction because many of you probably have never heard of INX Research Corporation, though you've probably driven by us many times. We sort of take a relatively low level of advertising because we don't have any customers in this area. All of our customers are out of state. But we were formed in 1978, INX Research Corporation. We moved to Lafayette in 1982, so we've been in the city of Lafayette for 44 years. We occupy the 2 buildings that were just mentioned. One is our general office and our manufacturing plant, and the second smaller building is our technological center, which has recently been upgraded from a warehouse to, in fact, an office building. Just a little bit about what we do. We build highly complex process systems which are used as a barrier from the processing and handling of hazardous chemicals and hazardous waste and the environment. So we're basically environmental treatment people. We protect the environment from all of the nasty things that we have to live with in this world. Some of those things include, for instance, systems that protect any accidental releases of radioactivity from commercial nuclear power plants, chemical weapons disposal facilities. We build protection equipment to protect the environment while destroying of chemical weapons. We do some work in the mining industry. Gold mines often require treatment of mercury so that it isn't released to the atmosphere. We design and build those kinds of systems. And most recently, we've had quite a significant growth in an area of government national security areas. And this is what's really spurring our growth and requiring our new building to be built. We've basically outgrown our existing building, and we need to, with existing contracts, for the most part, these are contracts that all are with the U.S. government. The government has granted us in fact, a grant to partially fund the construction of this building. We are in, and they are in extreme need for the equipment that we build, and therefore we're appealing to the council to look favorably on this the plan that we have. We believe that we're a valuable member of the community. We employ about 90 people at our business, and we look forward to continuing to have a excellent relationship with the business community in Lafayette. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Catherine Wilkinson. I'm representing the architecture side of this. I work with Hall & Basham Architects. So I've got a couple slides just to show you some more information about that. Okay, great. So there's three, can you guys see my, okay, cool. There's two existing buildings on the site. So this is the original building that Doug was talking about. And we have this large building here, and then this is our proposed building here. So I know that you guys have looked at the site plan, but just briefly a couple other items of note. So we've got shared EV parking located here on the site. We have outdoor patio space for both buildings. So this will be new for this existing building, and then this one is part of the design for this new building here. That's just for employees taking breaks, things like that. Jake pointed out, so if you see kind of like the dark dashed lines around these trees, those are the existing trees that we are saving. So there's a big stand here. This is Doug's favorite tree here. We've got a bunch of trees all around the edges that we are also saving and then enhancing the landscape as well. Okay. So this is the exterior of the building. So this side here, the west elevation, that's the side you would see as you're driving down 120th. And then the south elevation here is what you would see as you're coming in, turning off of 120th onto Eastwind. So this front building here, the smaller bit, is lower when it's facing 120th. And we've added additional just interest to the building, so it's not quite so blank. So you can see these awnings here. Ton of glass, ton of windows, that's all office space. And then on the south side, we've added these awnings and additional windows along that side as well. And this wainscot layer around here. I did want to just quickly show you the truck turning. So the products that Ionix created are very large, very heavy. So they have to be trucked out using semi-trucks. So currently what happens is that the truck comes in here and loads and unloads things out of this area on the existing building. So the new building, we've got a bunch of overhead doors in this space. So they'll come in, kind of back up, kind of pull forward and then back into this area for that to happen. The other thing on here to note is this is the accessible route for folks. So we've got separate accessible parking for each building as part of this. And this is a rendering of that building, the new building. So this is looking from 120th, and then Eastwind is over here on the right side with the white area. You can see a lot of this is metal panel. But we've oriented it in different ways and different colors just to provide that interest. So I think that's it. Thank you.
All right. So I'll just kind of give an overview of the analysis. There are actually over 20 SPAR approval criteria, and so we're not going to go through each one individually. We lumped them together in kind of 5 categories. Architecture, that's kind of the biggest bucket. Then we have landscaping, and I'll kind of go into those in a little bit more detail on the next slide. But circulation, we look at both pedestrian and vehicular circulation. Screening talks about what should be screened, how that screening should be constructed, and how it should complement the buildings. And then we have some, or at least a criterion on lighting, talks about compatible with the building and minimizing impact on adjacent properties. So just to give you a little idea of what's out there now, this is the larger building. You know, it's got the architectural metals in the industrial part of the building, the office part. Also incorporates some industrial metal, but a lot more glazing, some what appears to be stone And then I couldn't get a great picture of the front of this building because it was of cars in the sunlight, but this is the front facing North 120th. They added some new windows recently, but again, some metals, architectural metals, some stone. The back side of that building is more of a traditional industrial building with architectural metal facade. So this is just going over the SPAR approval criteria. It kind of talks to a lot about scale, proportion, and that's both within to each other and to the surrounding properties. It talks about character and compatibility, visual interest, and durability. And just to kind of go over some of what they've done here, the most noticeable is on North 120th, they incorporated a kind of a traditional storefront, a lot more glazing, canopies, some second-story windows, and then they actually wrapped that around the internal side, so to the north of the building. And then they also had like a stone wainscoting around here. They wrapped that around the east-wind-facing facade, which is this one. Also, they added canopies over these windows to provide a little bit more visual interest from the public street. Also, there's some criteria that talks about roof line. They kind of have an offset gable that's at least it provides a little interest. As I understand it, that's really more an example of a form following function, that they needed the clearances for those two big large overhead doors. The other thing, they talks about color, the color being compatible. You saw the rendering, it incorporates a lot of earth tones that kind of match with what's out there already. And then another big factor that kind of gets to compatibility and scale is they step down the front of the building that's closest to the street, this front third or so of the building. So that's more in scale, and it's a little bit more pedestrian friendly in that it's lower in height. So that's kind of some of the examples of what they did with their industrial building that allowed us to find that it does meet the approval criteria. Similarly with the landscaping, I mean, I think this is something they really excelled at. I've reviewed lots of plans over the years, and I don't know that I've seen one that really emphasized the tree preservation as well as this one did. They preserved 34 trees. In addition, there's 29 new trees proposed, over 300 shrubs or ornamental grasses. They also converted the remaining turf to drought-tolerant turf and native grass mix. And their irrigation or projected irrigation use is actually 1/3 of what's allowed, the maximum that's allowed by the city. So they've done all this, and they're actually doing it with 1/3 of the amount of water they could use to irrigate the property. So I think that all speaks really well to the landscape design and allows us easily to make findings that it meets the landscape approval criteria. So just kind of speaking broadly, based on our analysis and attachment B, the staff analysis, staff recommends approval of the SPAR with the conditions we have included. So now moving on to the parking modification. So there's 4 factors in the code, and we're used to criteria, but the code specifically says factors, so I'm just using code language here. And those are, the first one, expected number of cars owned by occupants of dwellings. Well, we don't have any dwellings, so that's not applicable. The parking needs of any non-dwelling users, that obviously applies. The varying time period of use, as the applicant stated in their justification letter, they run one shift, Monday through Thursday. So there's no really variation in time, so that one really doesn't apply here. And then the last factor is the conveyance of private parking for public parking, which is mainly what we see in the Old Town area, and that doesn't apply here either. So really the parking justification or modification is really based on that parking needs of any non-dwelling uses. So as they state in their justification letter, they currently have 90 employees. At time of going live with the new building, they expect to hire 10 to 15 new employees, and then an additional 10 to 15 new employees 2 to 5 years down the road. So if they were to meet kind of all their growth expectations, that would result in 120 employees in 2 to 5 years after the building was constructed. Additionally, they said they have on average about 3 visitors a day, so that results in 123 kind of people at the site, and they're proposing 120 parking spaces. And kind of that's a little bit atypical, and why staff can support it is based on the other kind of 4 factors they mentioned. There's substantial on-street parking on East Wind. East Wind's a dead-end road that only serves Ionics right now. Based on a conservative analysis by staff, there appears to be 20 off-street parking spaces there, and that accommodates the no parking areas for their truck maneuvering and any sort of no parking for fire. We also have that future bus stop I mentioned for a future dash route that'll be directly in front of the site. Hopefully that'll encourage a few more employees to take transit. They are committed to adding additional bicycle parking. And then also we have that eastern portion of the property I alluded to on kind of my opening slide. That's 3.85 property to the east that they own. That's for future campus expansions that they will use for parking should it become an issue. Another factor I guess to throw in there is there's really no on-street parking anywhere around them that's like residential roads or anything. So there's really nowhere for that parking to spill over to outside of Eastwind. It's going to be, parking, I don't know, Flag or something and walking quite a way. So it's not really likely or reasonable that'll happen. So for these reasons, staff also supports parking reduction. And with that, that concludes my presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions from council? Councilor Jensen.
You mentioned they'd done some work on lighting, and I just wondered what exactly was done to try to keep the, was it dark skies kind of that we are looking for?
Yes, all of their lighting fixtures are all night sky compliant. They're all 90 degree, directly aimed down. They added some parking lot, some kind of standard parking lot lighting. And then the other addition were some new wall packs, wall lights on the outside the building. Their photometric plan actually identifies the most amount of light trespass they have on the property is from an existing light on the existing building. None of the new lights actually worsen that existing condition.
So in trying to do some research, I had never heard of Ionics before, and so I was trying to figure out a little bit more about them. And what I was able to ascertain is that even though the research helps prevent hazardous waste, you don't actually have on your site any hazardous or toxic waste. That I just wanted to verify that.
That is correct.
Okay.
We build systems that process this, but we don't do any of the processing ourselves, and we have no toxic chemicals on site. Under no circumstances would we actually ever handle any of this. It's really engineering of these systems that is what we're involved in, but not the actual processing of the chemicals themselves.
So if you expanded in the future, you would never have the need to test out your engineering systems on actual hazardous or toxic waste at that site?
We would not.
Okay.
We also check with the fire marshal who does routine inspections, and I forgot to write it down, but the most I don't know, combustible or the thing on the site that was like compressed gas or something. It's less than what they find in a lot of industrial manufacturing areas. So we did run that by our fire marshal.
Any other questions from council? Councilor Juneau?
I have some questions. Did the planning commission, I know they didn't analyze the parking, but did they discuss it at their meeting?
They just had some questions, general questions about it. One commissioner that I recall, and we talked maybe a little bit about this. This was November 12th, so I'm not remembering it the greatest, sure. But they didn't spend a ton of time analyzing that, given that they weren't the one making a decision on that. But they did recommend unanimously approval of the SPAR as proposed.
Okay. One more question about the site. It looks like there's 2 driveways on Eastwind, right, in the plan?
Yes.
And those are already existing?
They are. I believe there's some planned improvements to the eastern one in the future, but yes, they are existing.
Okay. And just one more. You mentioned they were committed to future bicycle parking. Could you elaborate just a little bit there?
They have committed to staff that there will be some additional bicycle parking. I'm hoping that we see both some kind of traditional bicycle parking, but also some interior bicycle parking for kind of what I would consider like a long-term bicycle parking that's more suitable for employees. So that is something, that's one of those kind of conditions of approval about the technical comments that we're still working through. But feel free to reinforce that request.
Yeah, I thank the applicant for, considering that, and, that's just part of who Lafayette is, so love to see that, any new building really try to put in bike parking wherever possible. Just one more question for me. What is the current zoning on this area?
The current zoning is M1 or industrial.
Okay. And I think on the comprehensive plan,
Eclectiflex.
Eclectiflex.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Any other questions from council? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. And I think these questions are going to be for the applicant.
Owner or consultants?
Consultant.
Both?
Actually, and the owner too, but the consultant first.
Okay, hi.
And I ask this of everyone who comes up, so it's just what I do. So we're talking about thank you so much, and I have been by there. I can't tell you how many times. I've always wondered what happens in there, so This is great to know. I'm also glad you don't have any customers in the area, because it's just great to know that we don't have things that nasty, locally, except for maybe Rocky Flat Shoes too. Preserving the trees, thank you for doing that. The city's adding more trees just because it's so important, and maintaining the trees that are there. And I love the fact that you've readjusted. There was something I heard about accessibility where the new entrance is for staff.
Sure.
What do we mean by
let
the
me
accessibility
just
piece of that?
Okay. All right, so I know it might be a little hard to read, but if you see these dark dashed lines, so there's accessible parking here, and that has an accessible route right to our new building here.
Okay.
And then there are 2 accessible spots here for this building. So they go up, there's a little sidewalk here, come in right here in the entry. And then there are 2 existing accessible parking spots over here for this existing building, and they just come up this sidewalk. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And along those lines, I see the EV parking there.
Yep.
And I try to ride my bike everywhere, and I've been out there a million times. We're still, not a million, a lot. We now have a bike lane on the western side of 120th. We've got the intersection on 120th and Baseline, South Boulder Road dialed. And number one, I'm wondering where you propose to have the new bicycling. And number 2, I guess, will be a question. So this will be for the consultant, and the second one will be for the owner.
Sure. Actually, Tara, did you want to talk about bike parking, where you were thinking? If not, I can.
I mean, my thoughts were in this area that we would, I think that's what we had talked about at one time.
Okay.
And the talks when it started of like interior parking, I mean, this is all pretty open, so I don't exactly.
Yeah.
We've had conversations about this, we just haven't finalized it into the plan. And I think mostly because I didn't realize it needed to be shown on the plan. So we have a lot of also right here, if we highlight there, I mean, there's a ton of open space right there. So we just know that there's a lot of space on the site, and we're committed to making sure that this gets somewhere there, wherever it makes most sense. We've been working really hard to finalize these details of all where the cars need to be, and lost sight
Just
of
another
the bikes.
layer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think what Tara's saying is have some dispersed bike parking for the exterior that gives occupants access to it at each building. And then in our new building, we have space in the front lobby there that we could put some of the interior bike parking. So,
And honestly, we have room in the interior lobbies of every building where people could bring their bikes inside. So that is a possibility that we just haven't explored yet, but.
I appreciate it. And this is sketch plan, so I didn't expect any details,
Okay.
but since you're here, I'm just wondering what you were imagining, just to get
Yeah.
an idea.
Yeah.
You bet.
Because I really appreciate even conceiving that idea. And I guess for the owner, the question is, because there's a lot of, in organizational cultures that view alternative forms of transportation and biking as part of the culture of the organization. So I didn't know if that was this driven from the staff, or was this something you'd like to see more from the staff as considering alternative transportation?
I would say it's a
cycling?
mutual interest.
Okay.
We would certainly, as owners of the building and employ, to encourage employees to use bicycling whenever they can. We have several employees that actually do, in the summer, ride their bikes to work. And I think the encouragement, we would certainly, as a company philosophy, encourage it. I believe that it's a good idea. And once again, this is something that we haven't actually formally decided how to do it, but my suggestion would be that our company actually get together with the employees themselves and kind of make recommendations as to what would make sense for them. Because the company will sponsor whatever they really would like to do.
And
That's the type of company that we are.
Yes, and the reason I'm asking is that if you, whatever, as the plan develops, I almost said we, probably just me. I would love to hear what you do come up with, because bike routes to work are super important. And I know some incomplete paths to that site, and I know some complete ones, so I would love to find out if they are something that's working for your employees, and if there are any things you have to modify because of the access to that location.
I also wanted to just add something else. Jake, I'm just going to go all the way back. Okay. So I think you remember we were talking about this area as well as being a separate lot. So the other item that we haven't talked about is that I believe, I can't remember, I think this is an abandoned railroad area here. So the intent is that this will become a bike path, a bike trail in the future.
That's what we've been told.
Well, I didn't,
Yes.
and I didn't know if you knew about that, so
Yes.
that would be one of the ways.
So then there's an easy, I mean, especially once this is developed, there will be a connection from that bike path to the rest of the site.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And one last question, sorry, Mayor. No. With the new vegetation that's coming in and the drought tolerant, was there any focus of any concern about the fire, like if it will help diminish the
Fire risk?
fire risk?
You know, I haven't talked to our landscape architect about that, but I can. Wasn't something we specifically talked about, but.
And it's not a requirement, I'm just curious
Yeah.
if that came up.
No,
because
it's
we're
not something we
little-
specifically talked about, but I can bring it up with them for sure.
That'd be great to find out, yeah, because
Yeah.
we're kind of focused on
Yeah, of
knowing
course.
where the risk is. So thank you so much.
Can I offer one more? For the EV parking, we actually did talk about that. There are several employees already driving EVs, and the EV chargers that we selected are able to be, so that the company can offer that for free to the employees. And we talked about that being a nice perk that will encourage people for that type of alternative transportation. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any further questions from council?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say that the landscape plan and the use of water that was described is very exciting. And I hope it can be a model for future development, and we can show what can be done by using the right plants and keeping water usage low. So I'm very excited about that.
Seeing no more questions, I think our next step is to discuss this, and if you wouldn't mind just going a step forward to the motion in case there is no discussion. Is there anything that council feels we should discuss on this? If not, motion is on the screen. Councilor Fridland.
I just want to kind of echo, I think, some of the sentiment I'm hearing from my fellow councilors that this is a really good plan. Thank you so much for putting so much time and attention to it. The EV parking, awesome. Clearly you're thinking about the biking, appreciate that. The attention to detail on drought tolerant landscaping, just seems like you've really done a good job, and it's to be expected from a great Lafayette company. So keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Any other counselors? Anyone wish to read the motion?
Sure. I move to approve resolution number 2026-02, approving with conditions an application for site plan and architectural review and parking modification for blocks 20 and 21, town site of Capitol Hill subdivision.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. Clerk Beck, can you please get a roll call vote?
Counselor Friedland?
Aye.
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
Counselor Gianola?
Yes.
Counselor Jensen?
Yes.
Mayor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnes?
Yes.
Counselor Bollier?
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to agenda item H, which is the ground lease amendment for the Louisville Tower. For that, we have our Chief Information Officer, Ernesto Chavez.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Ernesto Chavez, Chief Information Officer, and this evening presenting to you an opportunity to extend our ground lease for what we affectionately call the Louisville Tower. Primarily because it exists on private property within the Louisville city limits. So it's a 150-foot communications tower. It was built in 1986 roughly. It was constructed by a private property, Verizon at the time. And in 2001, ownership was transferred to the city of Lafayette through a utilities easement agreement. Shortly thereafter, the city worked on a 20-year agreement, a ground lease agreement, and several other subleases, which continue to exist today. So there's one with the Boulder County, KGNU, the radio, and then we currently have T-Mobile and Verizon on this facility as well. All of those leases are intact, and in 2023, we brought to council the option to extend through 2026 so we could work out long-term arrangements for this site. We're continuing to work on what those long-term arrangements are, and so we've been working with the Petit family over the last couple of years, and we were able to negotiate an extension that goes through 2031. And all the terms and conditions of the existing ground lease remain in effect from the original one back in 2003. This is an extension and it gives us some space to continue to provide services from this site. It is a very important site. The Boulder County Sheriff's Office does run emergency service communications through this site, and Verizon and T-Mobile provides those services primarily to the Louisville community and the western-ish central part of Boulder County. And Mr. Frank Petit has already signed this agreement, and we're presenting this to you this evening for consideration and discussion. The resolution also authorizes the city manager to exercise the amendment if so approved. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you so much. Any questions from council? Councilor Friedland.
Just so I'm clear in understanding, with this extension, we would continue to explore what the long-term options are for this site, and this lease through 2031 would potentially, if we figured that out, we could transfer that. So it's really just keeping it so we can keep doing what we're trying to do.
Correct. Absolutely. Continue to negotiate and determine what the long-term strategy is.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from council? Councilor Gianola.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick questions. You mentioned that the Boulder County Sheriff is using this tower. Are there any other public facilities stationed on the tower?
So correct, the Boulder County Sheriff is one of their primary relay stations. The city of Lafayette currently has 2 small antennas, but we're relocating those to a property just to the east of that. So, but that's it from a public service standpoint at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, would you mind giving us a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 2026-03, approving a ground lease extension and amendment agreement between the City of Lafayette and Frank M. Patetta pertaining to city-owned radio and communications tower facilities.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion on this matter? Seeing no further discussion, Clerk Beck, can you please get a roll call vote?
Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
Counselor Gianola?
Yes.
Counselor Jensen?
Yes.
Mayor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnes?
Yes.
Counselor Bollier?
Yes.
And Counselor Freeland.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. And with that, we conclude regular business for tonight. And we move on to staff reports. We will begin with our city attorney's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I wanted to let you know that I did send you an email earlier this evening with an update regarding our home rule lawsuit regarding the strategic growth laws of the state. That is public knowledge, but I just want to let you know that I have sent you an update. And so please reach out to me if you have any questions about that lawsuit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. So want to thank all those that put in a huge effort for our MLK Day celebration. We estimate we had over 400 people attend, including all these lovely people in this picture, including some of you guys selves. So huge appreciation to the Youth Advisory Board and the Service Squad for really setting it up and creating a seamless event. So we're really happy to continue that event year over year. Also want to make an announcement that our Lafayette Poet Laureate is open. This is a 2-year term, so this will be our 3rd time appointing a Poet Laureate. The application closes February 20th. The Poet Laureate will participate in public events, perform poetry, and conduct outreach to youth and adults. They do receive a stipend of $2,500 for that term. And also responsible for producing, sharing, and promoting the poetry. So they'll be appointed in late April after a selection committee. So please visit that website for more information and for the application to apply, either yourselves or if you know any of our local poets. Also, we sent out a invite for our 2026 City Council retreat. Mayor Tapia Vega provided information to councils about that. You will be reached out to by our consultants, and we have tentative times, solidified dates, but tentative times, but we think they're pretty close, of February 13th from 3 to 7 p.m. and Saturday, February 19th from 9 to 3 p.m. And of course, an agenda with more details for the public to be able to come to that as well will be provided as we get closer to that event. And then just a reminder that our land use code survey is open until mid next month, February 16th, and you can visit that link for the survey. Looking forward to January 27th, next week. Our workshop will focus solely on the land use code overview and update. On February 3rd, you'll have a proclamation for Black History Month, and we'll be doing an ordinance related to our Thomas Open Farm space lease, and then a resolution for the Kensington sketch plan. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. We will conclude with council reports, and we'll start on the screen tonight. So, Councilor Gianola.
Just want to thank the public who spoke tonight, and in particular, thank you to the Lafayette History Museum folks for bringing that to our attention. I'm going to try to make it on Saturday to the event, so thank you so much for raising that tonight.
Councilor Bollier.
I just want to say thank you so much to the leaders of the various boards and committees that I will be liaising with. They've made me feel extremely welcome since I just got sworn in last week. So really looking forward to a series of conversations with them, but just very, very professional and looking forward to working with them. That's all for me.
Thank you. Councilor Jensen.
I attended the opening of the Lafayette Collective art exhibit called Balance, which were various interpretations of what that word balance means. And it was quite fascinating, the variety of interpretations. And I as a person who grew up in a quilting culture and made baby blankets and such, never realized what a fascinating art form quilting can be and how much more complex it is. And it was really enjoyable, and I encourage people to go see the quilting exhibit. And it ain't your mama's quilt. It's very different. So I want to encourage you to do that. And then I also wanted to say thank you to the Lafayette Youth Advisory Board, to the elected officials who came from other cities to be with us during our celebration of Martin Luther King. And thank you particularly to Councilmember Gallegos for her liaison work with the Lafayette Youth Advisory Board. I thought it was a lovely celebratory event and something people look forward to every year. And it's always just so, you know, it's easy to get angry sometimes, and it's good to remember the words of light and love shining out hate. And so I was very pleased to be there.
Thank you. Councilor Fridland.
Not a ton for me. Went to the first CML Policy Committee meeting last week. Not a huge amount to take action on just yet, but I think it's coming. There is a legislative workshop on February 19th. If you would like to attend, I will be there. You do need to register ahead of time, so I think definitely communicate with staff on how to get registered or reimbursed. And I think there's going to be a lot between here and now of bills that CML will be wanting to act on in some way and things that will impact our community. So encourage you to come and learn more. If you have any questions for me on that, let me know, and I'll do my best to keep you in the loop as things go along. That's it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to thank you, Councilor Jensen, for thanking Councilor Gallegos for all the work. I had lots of residents tell me that they really loved the event as usual, and it's just a really welcoming, safe space for everyone there. So thank you again. And I truly enjoyed being there yet again. We just had a DDA meeting last Monday? Yes. And want to ensure people know that in addition to the economic incentives provided by the city, the DDA has additional funds for smaller projects, and that is through the Downtown Improvement Grant, or the DIG, if you can dig that. And then there is a Creativity and Cultural Micro Grant, and those are live on the DDA webpage, which is supported by the city's webpage. So that is, just Google it when you get their Downtown Development Authority page. One of the other things that or just search it in the city webpage book, is also the annual report, which is one of the best looking annual reports I've seen in a long time. And so I highly recommend just downloading or opening it up, taking a look at it. You can even see a little bit of bios about who the people who are on the DDA and their interests, and have an idea of what the DDA is doing to support not just Old Town, but the whole Downtown Development Authority area, which goes all the way down south. Public Road goes all the way down to the southern part of Public Road, and on the southern side of Baseline out to 287. So there's great things coming from the DDA. Just wanted people to know there will be more marketing coming up soon. So there we have it.
Thank you so much. Councilor Gallegos.
And I just wanted to echo the city manager and my fellow councilors to thank everyone involved with the Martin Luther King Jr. event. Congratulations to the Youth Advisory Board. They put a lot of work into it and a lot of heart. Everyone who came really enjoyed themselves, and it was great to see so many people having a wonderful time. We had some great kids activities that people were taking part in, wonderful speeches. And I also wanted to shout out a couple local businesses too. So thank you to East Simpson Coffee for donating coffee and hot chocolate to the event. And thank you to Tacos III for deeply discounting the delicious breakfast burritos that people enjoyed. So thank you again to everyone.
Thank you so much. Three things from me, and I promise I won't be long. The first one is, even though we're not all up on this dais, it is nice to finally have our 7th member of council and having a full member. Actually, I was about to call you Kyle, but Councilor Bollier, it's nice to have you, and it's nice to have a full council, so congratulations. It's nice to work with you. The second thing is, I'm just going to echo what everyone, I believe, has said at this point, which is the event, the MLK Day event was absolutely incredible. Thank staff, I want to thank the volunteers, I want to thank every resident who made it out, all the elected officials, not just from our city, but from around the region who came out to volunteer, and of course, the incredible Youth Advisory Board. I've been to so many of these events because I've been to them since I was a kid, and two things about them. One, they get bigger every year, which is amazing, and the other thing is that every year, regardless of how big they are, there's just such an incredible sense of community at this event. It was just absolutely incredible, so thank you to everyone involved. And the final thing that I feel I have to talk about is we should always celebrate incredible things that happen in the city of Lafayette, but I also feel like we have to celebrate incredible people that are doing amazing things that came from the city of Lafayette. So I'm going to take this moment to congratulate someone and celebrate someone who grew up here. I know him really, really well because I went to elementary school with him, I went to middle school with him, I went to high school with him, we worked at the state together, we sat on separate city councils, but we sat as city councilors together at the same time. Kenny Wynn grew up in Lafayette. He, just like me, is a Lafayette kid. We've known each other since the 2nd grade. And as of last Monday, he now serves over at the state capitol as a state representative for House District 33. And I'm just so unbelievably proud of my friend and so unbelievably proud of that young Lafayette kid that grew up with me and now serves as one of our state representatives. I know he's going to do incredible work for House District 33. And overall, while he doesn't represent the city of Lafayette, I know that because he's from here, he's also representing the city of Lafayette. And with that, I move to adjourn to executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes, Section 24-6-402, 4B, and 24-6-402, 4EI, to confer with the city attorney for the purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding annexation and to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators regarding potential annexation-related agreements, all pertaining to the range at Lafayette annexation for the real property located at the southwest corner of Highway 287 and Arapahoe Road.
A second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Gianola?
Yes.
Counselor Jensen?
Yes.
Mayor Tapia Vega?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Barnes?
Yes.
Counselor Bollier?
Yes.
Counselor Friedland?
Yes.
And Counselor Gallegos?
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
The city council will adjourn to executive sessions and will not return to an open meeting. The time is 6:41 PM. Thank you.
She's trying to keep us on our toes by